In the heart of Manhattan stands a skyscraper that was supposed to change everything, a record-breaking tower built to redefine luxury and engineering. But instead of becoming a symbol of triumph, it turned into one of New York's biggest real estate failures. Once marketed as the crown jewel of Billionaires Row, this ultra-slim, $2 billion masterpiece now sits eerily quiet, with most of its floors completely dark. So, what went wrong? How did a tower designed for the world's richest people become the world's loneliest? In this video, we will uncover the rise and fall of Steinway Tower, how a bold dream to touch the clouds ended up as a haunting reminder that not every record-breaking idea soars. Let's get started. The 2008 financial crisis devastated the American economy, but it created an unexpected gold rush for Manhattan developers. As Wall Street collapsed, money from around the world started flooding into New York real estate. Russian oligarchs, Chinese billionaires, and Middle Eastern royalty all wanted the same thing: a safe place to park their wealth. They weren't looking for homes. They wanted assets that could appreciate while sitting empty, far from the political instability or currency fluctuations back home. Developers saw the opportunity immediately. Why build 20 apartments for 20 families when you could build one penthouse for one billionaire willing to pay 20 times as much? The math made perfect sense, at least on paper. Then in 2013, New York changed its zoning laws in a way that would reshape the entire skyline. The new rules allowed developers to purchase something called air rights from neighboring low-rise buildings. Essentially, if a short building wasn't using its maximum allowed height, a developer could buy that unused space and stack it onto their own tower. Suddenly, skyscrapers could shoot up to previously impossible heights on tiny footprints. The first tower to really capitalize on this was 157, which opened in 2014. Then came 432 Park Avenue in 2015, standing 1,396 feet tall, but only 93 feet wide. That created a height-to-width ratio of 15:1, making it one of the slenderest skyscrapers ever built. The building became an instant landmark, visible from almost anywhere in the city. It also became a talking point for a different reason. Residents started complaining about how much the building swayed in the wind. During storms, the creaking and groaning became so loud that some called it intolerable. But developers didn't slow down. If anything, the attention made other projects more ambitious. Billionaires Row was officially born. Over the next few years, a dozen ultra-luxury towers would rise along 57th Street, each trying to outdo the others. The target buyers were clear: global elites who would spend tens of millions on an apartment they might visit twice a year. Critics started calling these units safety deposit boxes in the sky, and the name stuck. The towers were incredible feats of engineering, but they were built for investment portfolios, not people. That tension between architectural achievement and actual livability would eventually cause serious problems. Problems that one building in particular would come to represent more than any other. While developers were chasing height records and billionaire buyers, one project was about to push the concept of slender skyscrapers to an extreme nobody thought possible. The engineering challenges alone would have stopped most projects dead. But Steinway Tower was never meant to be practical. The site at 111 West 57th Street came with a unique problem. Unlike other Billionaires Row towers built on empty lots, this one had to rise from a historic landmark. Steinway Hall, designed in 1925 by Warren and Wetmore, the same architects behind Grand Central Terminal, couldn't be demolished. Developers had to figure out how to build a modern, super tall tower while preserving a century-old building. Their solution was to construct the tower from Steinway Hall's light court, essentially building up through the middle of the existing structure. The real challenge was the footprint, just 59 feet by 75 feet. That's smaller than many suburban houses, roughly the size of a standard basketball court. The plan called for the tower to reach 1,428 feet into the sky. Those numbers created a height-to-width ratio of 24:1, meaning the building would be 24 times taller than it was wide. For comparison, 432 Park Avenue's 15:1 ratio had already caused major sway issues. Steinway Tower was going to be almost twice as slender, The question wasn't just whether it was ambitious, it was whether it was even survivable. Engineers started by drilling nearly 200 steel anchors up to 100 feet into Manhattan's bedrock. The foundation alone cost tens of millions and took over a year to complete. But anchoring the base only solved half the problem. The real enemy was wind, specifically something called vortex shedding. When wind hits a tall, slender building, it doesn't just push against it. The air creates swirling vortices that can set up a rhythmic sway. And if that rhythm matches the building's natural frequency, the structure can literally shake itself apart. At 1,428 feet with extreme slenderness, Steinway Tower was perfectly positioned for disaster. The engineering team came up with a radical solution. Let the wind pass straight through. They designed 3 entire floors, the 51st, 71st, and 86th, as completely open mechanical levels. No walls, no windows, just empty space where air could flow freely. This broke up the dangerous vortex patterns before they could build momentum. The team also poured some of the thickest residential shear walls ever constructed, 30 to 36 inches at the base, tapering to 16 inches higher up. The concrete itself was special, 14,000 psi ultra-high strength mix, nearly twice what most skyscrapers use. Finally, they added massive outrigger trusses, giant steel and concrete beams connecting the central core to the outer walls. Even with all these measures, the top floors still sway several feet during major storms. Residents have reported feeling nauseous and disoriented on windy days. The building moves, and you can feel it. Construction took 8 years and burned through more than $2 billion. When it finally topped out in 1919 and opened in 2021, Steinway Tower stood as the 4th tallest building in the United States and the world's thinnest skyscraper. The engineering was genuinely remarkable, but remarkable engineering doesn't guarantee financial success. Developers had conquered physics and won bragging rights for the record books. Now came the harder part, convincing billionaires to actually buy apartments in a building that sways in the wind. That's where everything started falling apart. The sales disaster began almost immediately. In 2015, when the tower was still under construction, developers started marketing units with enormous confidence. Penthouses were listed for over $100 million. Full-floor apartments were priced between $15 and $30 million. The pitch was simple: own a piece of architectural history in the world's thinnest skyscraper. But buyers weren't rushing in. By 2017, just 2 years into sales, the project had already cycled through its first sales team. Then came the real problem. The developers defaulted on a $325 million loan. The default triggered a cascade of lawsuits and financial chaos. Ambassador Corporation, one of the early investors, lost its entire stake and spent years fighting in court to recover anything. By 2019, lenders were actively threatening foreclosure. The project was so over-leveraged that even finishing construction became uncertain. Somehow, work continued, but the financial damage was done. In 2023, Apollo Real Estate, one of the major lenders, wrote off $82 million just to close the books and move on. The tower was completed, but the money was gone. Sales didn't improve after the building opened in 2021. By 2022, developers claimed nearly half the units were sold, but those were mostly contracts, not actual closings. Buyers were signing purchase agreements and then walking away before finalizing. The units that did close came at steep discounts. One apartment originally listed at $14.2 million sold for just $11.75 million, a 17% haircut. Another went for $11 million after being listed at $13.5 million. Even with the world's thinnest skyscraper bragging rights, buyers weren't willing to pay full price. By 2023, 2 full years after completion, the tower was still essentially empty. At night, most floors remained dark. The building had 3 different sales teams in 6 years, each one promising they could turn things around. None did. Then, in 2024, something finally shifted. Over 15 units sold for a combined $263.7 million, with another $127 million worth under contract. One notable buyer was the Canadian government, which purchased Unit 11A for $6.63 million in June 2024. The unit had originally been listed at $10.75 million, meaning even this sale came at a significant discount. The financial recovery was real, but limited. Steinway Tower never became the sales success developers envisioned. The world's thinnest skyscraper turned into a cautionary tale about over-leveraging, over-promising, and building for speculation rather than actual demand. Meanwhile, the building itself stood as a monument to both engineering brilliance and financial catastrophe. Despite the sales struggles and financial collapse, the apartments themselves remain stunning examples of luxury design. The problem wasn't the quality of the units. The problem was that almost nobody wanted to live in them. Steinway Tower contains just 59 total units, 45 in the tower itself and 14 in the historic Steinway Hall base. Most are full-floor apartments, meaning each residence occupies an entire level. A few are duplexes spanning 2 floors. At the very top sits the crown jewel, a 4-story penthouse created by combining 2 separate duplexes. The penthouse alone lists for over $110 million and offers 13,000 square feet of living space with 360-degree views of Manhattan. The interiors spare no expense. Every apartment has private elevator access that opens directly into the unit, no shared hallways or lobbies. Bathrooms are finished entirely in Italian marble, with fixtures imported from Europe. Kitchens feature custom cabinetry made from rare woods, with bronze detailing and appliances hidden behind panels. Floor-to-ceiling windows stretch up to 14 feet high, flooding every room with natural light. The views extend across Central Park in one direction and out to the Hudson River in the other. Building amenities read like a fantasy wish list. An 82-foot indoor lap pool sits beneath vaulted ceilings in the basement level. There's a private paddle court, one of the first in any Manhattan residential building, a fully equipped fitness center, a private dining room for resident events, and even a barbershop and shoe shine stand. Residents can have their shoes shined and hair cut without ever leaving the building. Every detail was designed to justify the astronomical price tags. Yet for all this luxury, the building remains eerily quiet. Only 2 units in the Steinway Hall base have ever been leased, one renting for $75,000 per month and another for slightly less. The tower itself shows minimal signs of actual occupancy. Walk past at night and count the lit windows. You'll find more dark floors than occupied ones. As of April 2025, developers claim the building is 75% sold. But sold doesn't mean occupied. Many units were purchased as investments and sit empty year-round. The few residents who do live there have reported uncomfortable experiences with building sway. On windy days, the movement becomes noticeable enough to cause nausea and disorientation. Water in glasses sloshes visibly. Hanging light fixtures swing slightly. This is the unavoidable reality of living in the world's thinnest skyscraper. The engineering keeps the building standing, but it can't eliminate the physics of wind against a 24-to-1 height-to-width ratio. Today, Steinway Tower represents the ultimate contradiction, breathtaking luxury that almost nobody wants to experience. So, what do you think about this towering marvel? Would you live in a skyscraper that sways hundreds of feet above New York City, or would you rather just admire it from the ground? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the world's most fascinating architectural flops, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about incredible structures and the secrets behind them. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.